Thank you for your service as Vice President. So a year ago, I would have never imagined that I would be standing before you. I'll never forget that evening in August. Kathy and I were enjoying the evening in our living room, and my cell phone rang, and my good friend Elizabeth Eaton was on the phone, and I congratulated her. And then she went on to tell me the events of the past week at the churchwide assembly in Pittsburgh, and then asked if I would consider being the interim bishop of the Northeastern Ohio Synod. I thought about that for a few moments. And I said, well, I'm honored. And her response was, I don't care if you're honored or not. I just want you to say yes. And then I said to her, well, I'll have to think about this for a while and I'll need to talk to Kathy. So I hung up and I said to Kathy, you'll never guess who that was. And she said, I know who that was. I heard the whole conversation. It was pretty loud. But this has been a great honor for me to be in your midst. When I attend the North Carolina Synod Assembly, I often run into people that I knew when I was in Ohio, and then I made new friends in North Carolina, and they'll say, how does it feel not to be up front? And I say, this is just great. I love the idea of being able to stand over by the door and talk to my friends, arrive a little late, leave a little early, not have to get dressed up. Well, this is God's sense of humor. But in some regards, I almost would recommend this as a way for a bishop to get a better perspective on what we do. A couple of weeks ago, Kathy asked me, so how is this time different for you than the first 11 years? And I thought about that for a while, and I have to tell you, it's in the way I pray. I remember my prayers when I was the called bishop of this synod. They were pretty anxious. There was a lot of petitions, a lot of worry. And now in my prayers, I find myself just giving thanks. I give thanks for you. I give thanks for the ministries of the congregations of this synod. I give thanks for the leadership of the synod. I give thanks for the multiple ways in which I see the Spirit at work in the staff of the synod, in congregations, among our pastors, among the lay leaders. It's just been a time to get a little different perspective on the work of the Northeastern Ohio Synod and on the Church of Jesus Christ. In November, folks asked me, so what do you expect to do while you're an interim bishop? And I told them that my goals were only two. Number one was to, insofar as I was able, do no harm. And that is to say, to care for congregations and rostered leaders, to support closely the work of the synod staff, to be honest about my own limitations since I couldn't be in the territory full-time, and not to start anything new that might become a burden to the next bishop. And secondly, to, insofar as we're able, prepare the synod to receive a new leader. So with that rather modest game plan in mind, I, in my devotions, would read scripture and focus those passages from time to time that would illumine those two goals that I had. And I was struck that in St. Paul's letters, oftentimes at the end, he'll list people that he wants to commend to this congregation or that congregation, and then he'll say, I'm going to send someone to you. Welcome that person. Like at the end of Colossians, this is what Colossians 4:10 says. Aristarchus, my fellow prisoner, greets you, as thus Mark, the cousin of Barnabas, concerning whom you have received instruction. If he comes to you, welcome him. And I thought, that's kind of what I hope we can do in the Northeastern Ohio Synod, that come May 15, 16, 17, when this Synod gathers in assembly, you're ready to welcome her, or welcome him as your new leader. I looked it up in the Greek New Testament. It's kind of an interesting word, this word welcome. It can mean receive someone. It can mean embrace someone. For all the huggers out there, this is good news. It can mean put up with or tolerate someone. But whatever definition you would choose, you're here to welcome someone as your new leader. Paul knew, and we know, that everyone has a different style, various manners, styles of speech, senses of humor, ways to express their faith, and some may not be so familiar to us. So just like when you welcome a new pastor into your congregation, or when you welcome someone into your home, welcome the person you call to be the bishop of this synod. And I can tell you that from my perspective, you're ready to do just that. Not everything is perfect, but you are ready. There was an understandable time of grief and loss after Bishop Eaton left the synod, and while your regard for her is evident and continues, you're ready to move to the next chapter. And so I've decided that my report, the last part of my report, will take the form of a letter that I'm writing to the new bishop. And I'd invite you to join me in that letter, because at the end of each paragraph, there's a chance for you to join me in saying, we are ready to welcome you. All right? So here's my letter. Dear Bishop-elect, Alleluia, Christ is risen. Oh, you're getting good. Dear Bishop, a year ago, everything seemed to be in place in the Northeastern Ohio Synod. The Synod had just asked their beloved bishop to lead them for another 6 years. They were ready to move ahead, and then August happened, and she moved on. It took some getting used to, and she's missed. But this Synod is ready to move on and to welcome you. This letter from us is to confirm to you that we are ready to welcome you. The Synod staff is ready. They're perhaps the ones who are the most vulnerable in this process. They knew that when Bishop Eaton was called for another 6 years that there needed to be some changes in the way the staff was configured. Salaries had been cut to 80% 4 years ago and never restored. And there weren't that many raises for the last 4 years, and with some declining mission support, they all knew that things needed to be recalibrated. But they also knew her and knew these changes would likely be collaborative. But they also know that when there's a new bishop, in order for you to be able to do your work well, you need to choose the people you can best work with, and you need to configure the staff in a way that's most congenial to your style. That's not easy to admit, but it's true. And they're ready to welcome you. So they know that things, the way the staff is configured, may be different moving ahead. But these people, Judy Wise, where are they? They're over here. Judy Wise, who's going to raise her hand. Charlene Sauerman, Kathy Lender, Sonny Gilroy, Christine Thompson, stand up, Karen Kaufman, Judy Hoshek, Marianne Schwab, Lori Miller, Terrence Jacob, Joy Hacker, Marianne Sema represent a combined 153 years of experience in the Synod office as your servants. They see their work as a call to serve Christ and to serve Christ's people. And this assembly, Bishop, joins them in saying, we are ready to welcome you. The Synod's Executive Committee is also ready. They've scheduled a meeting for just 10 days from now with you to attend to transition details. They've set aside some dollars to assist with the transition. They've established a committee to be available to you to sort out staffing patterns. They're ready to work with you during the summer months to attend to the myriad of details that are before you, caring for your family, perhaps relocating, saying goodbye to a current call, preparing for a new start. They want you to start strong, Bishop. And they know that you are important as the leader of the Synod. These people, and I'll ask them to stand, Rod Sprang, John Sleesman, David Lenz, Tim Gilroy, Abraham Allende, and Bonnie Peltema, are gifts to the Synod and to its leadership. And this assembly joins them in saying to you, Bishop, we are ready to welcome you. Thanks. The church-wide organization is ready to receive you. Not only will you have responsibilities in this territory, but you'll be asked to serve on committees, task forces, consultations, and work groups in the church-wide organization. Our church-wide organization never makes a significant decision without the significant input of bishops, and your wisdom will be heard and valued. We only have one representative from the, well, maybe not one, but Secretary Berger has stepped out. But we can join, and oh, Roger Miller, I'm so glad you're here. I didn't see you. Roger's here as a church-wide organization employee. Marilyn from Region 6, stand up. They're ready to welcome the new bishop, and this Synod Assembly needs to join with you in saying, we are ready to welcome you. The Synod Council is ready. They prepared a budget this assembly will act on later that addresses some of the hard realities of our life together. You probably know that there's been a significant reduction in mission support over the last number of years that's resulted in the amount that's available for staff. This will be a challenge for you, but they want you to know that you're not alone in this endeavor. They want to work with you, and in fact, they set aside in the proposed budget $40,000 for you to use at your discretion to implement a vision for this Synod. They also want to work with you to develop the vision for the Synod. They heard people say at the conference meetings back in March that the most important quality they want in their new bishop is someone who can articulate and implement a vision for the Synod. And so, with the whole Synod Council that stood earlier, the Assembly joins in saying, we are ready to welcome you. Pastors and associates in ministry are ready to welcome you, Bishop. Some people sometimes say that the bishop's job is to be a pastor to the pastors. That's not entirely correct, but it's a part of what a person does as bishop, and it's a blessed part. To be invited into the lives as pastor of the pastors and associates in ministry in the Synod, to help discern call, to be with pastors and spouses and children, to baptize their children, to conduct funerals for blessed servants, is a blessing beyond words. And so all the pastors and associates in ministry in the Synod are ready to welcome you, and they say, we are ready to welcome you. The Conference of Bishops is ready to welcome you. They'll warmly welcome you into this group of 67 dedicated people who oversee the pastoral ministry of the church. Everybody has a spot at the table at those meetings, and I think there are going to be a few regional bishops who are with us later on in this assembly, Bishop Scuffian and Dillahunt, and I've been with them at least for one meeting, not for any more. But we can join with the whole Conference of Bishops in saying, we are ready to welcome you. Our ministry partners are ready. Social ministry organizations, disaster relief, universities, seminaries, camps, campus ministries, and others all look to the bishops of the Synod for leadership and connection to the church. All those who work for our ministry partners, I'd like you to stand and be recognized by the assembly and ask the assembly to join you in saying to the new bishop, you're out there somewhere, aren't you? Camps, campus ministry, seminary. Join our seminary president and say, we are ready to welcome you. Our congregations are ready. I am so impressed by how congregations are creatively looking for ways to effectively minister in this changing environment. A willingness to collaborate. Take an honest look at our strengths and weaknesses. Seek the best in the other person. Care for those most in need, even when things are pretty tough in our own shops. Another sign is that while it's a long way from declaring it a trend, mission support has been stable for the first 3 months of this year. I just have to say as an aside, I'm going to take an aside from the letter, we're almost exactly where we were at this time a year ago. You know, for the last number of years, the first quarter has shown a significant decrease. And one of my big worries in coming in as the interim bishop was I thought, well, mission support's going to suffer, but it hasn't, because our congregations are ready to welcome a new bishop. You've been faithful in your support, and I want to thank you for that. It's a sign that our congregations are ready. It's a sign that our congregations want us to move ahead. Congregations are meeting together, learning from one another, caring for each other, supporting each other, collaborating in their work and dreaming new dreams. Bishop Eaton was tireless in establishing Journey Forward, an initiative to renew the mission of the congregations, and it's taking root. You want to put your own stamp on Journey Forward, Bishop, but you'll also notice quickly how ready our congregations are ready now to move ahead in mission and ministry. So we join with congregations in saying, we are ready to welcome you. The Synod Assembly is ready to welcome you. The Synod Assembly has said that they're looking for a compelling vision for the work of the Synod. They listened attentively when you and others spoke and answered questions before them. The Synod Assembly believes they're doing God's work and that the Spirit is moving in their midst as they listen, decide, vote, and welcome. And this assembly says, we are ready to welcome you. And I'm ready to welcome you too. I've enjoyed these 6.5 months. I've loved working in the midst of this Synod, but as I told the Synod Council a few meetings back, I feel about this work a lot like I feel about being a grandparent and about the way I feel about my grandkids. I love them with all my heart. I can't wait to see them. It's fun to be around them. I pray for them every day, but I'm glad to give them back. And so I ask the assembly in joining me in saying, we are ready to welcome you. And so, Bishop-elect, you can see that this Synod is ready. This is a joyful and yet challenging call that you've received. We believe that the Church's call is God's call, and so we are bold enough to say that while we deliberated, and while we know our own shortcomings, we believe that the Spirit is at work in our midst when we make this call. And we can confidently and boldly say that the Spirit is ready to work in your life, in your heart, and in your soul to do this work. And that the Spirit is ready, and that we join with the Spirit in making this call. May Christ's peace calm you. May Christ's love guide you. May Christ's presence inspire you. May Christ's forgiveness empower you to get up each morning and go back to work. May Christ's gift of life steer your leading. May Christ's sacrificial life be your example. and may the desire for all people to know Christ animate all we do. Welcome in his name, the Northeastern Ohio Synod.